this movie night starts, make sure you have seen a regular show the movie before watching this video. But it'll make a lot more sense than watching this video first and then watching the movie. I know it's a review kinda, but I highly suggest to go watch the movie before watching this video so you guys can understand what's going on and kind of keep up with what I'm talking about, because this movie kind of gets confusing because the whole time travel thing, having multiple characters and multiple time frames. So definitely watch the movie before watching this video. All right.
Hey, I'm Jay, and all my life I've been obsessed with animated TV shows. So after discovering people on YouTube who enjoy animation just as much as I do, I decided to make my own videos on collecting, hunting, news, and reviews based around animated TV shows. So sit back, relax, and enjoy what my channel has to offer you. Oh yeah, don't forget, keep watching Jay Toonz.
What's up, animation geeks? It's Jay, and today we are finally doing another movie night. And the movie we're going to be watching is Regular Show the movie. Haven't seen the full movie of this. I've only seen a couple of minutes of it because I did a DVD review on it. And normally, when I do a DVD review, I watch a couple of minutes of it and then talk about it. If I've seen the whole DVD, then I talk about the whole DVD. But only seen a couple of minutes of this. Probably like the first 3 or 4 minutes of it. But yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and give this a full watch. If you guys don't know, if this is your first time watching a movie night from me, I basically watch the movie, and while I'm watching it, I'll pause the movie, pull out the camera, start talking about what I saw, and then so on and so forth. I keep doing that till the end, and at the end I give you my overall opinion on the movie. So tonight we're going to be watching A Regular Show the movie. So let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, so the movie starts out with, it says the future, and it has everybody who works at the park, besides Mordecai, running into the time NATO, and they're fighting with a whole bunch of guys with guns. You get Rigby, Pops, High Five Ghost, Muscle Man, and Skips all and Benson all fighting this army group of guys, and they're shooting. And then Mordecai ends up showing up and telling them just to give up and stuff like that. And then another bad guy comes saying that Mordecai and Rigby made the time NATO, and basically Mordecai is on the bad guy side because of something that Rigby did in the past when they were in high school. I don't know yet what he did, but Benson tells Rigby to leave. Rigby takes off. Mordecai follows him. They're in a spaceship. Rigby puts in a time where they were in high school. Mordecai and Rigby are pointing guns at each other. Mordecai says, "You press that button, I'm shooting you." Rigby presses the button. Mordecai shoots him, and the Rigby spaceship takes off and it disappears. So now we're at the present time, and let's just see what happens. Now we're in the present time, and it cuts to Mordecai and Rigby being Mordecai and Rigby, going to get breakfast tacos instead of going to their meeting, and them being late. So they have this big running scene to go hurry up and get to the meeting. They didn't make it in time. Betson said they were fired, but Rigby came up with the excuse saying, "Oh, we're late because we brought you breakfast tacos." So magically they got their job back. But Mordecai and Rigby are working on the porch, I guess you could call it, and Mordecai saying how if he doesn't get a break, then he's going to get another job. And Rigby's like, "Oh, you're not getting another job, you'll never leave the park." And as they're talking, this big ship, the future Rigby's ship, comes down, crashes on the park, and that's where we're at right now. Okay, so now it's starting to get interesting. A wounded future Rigby comes out of the ship, and he's shot, and he basically tells them the story about how in high school Rigby and Mordecai, I guess, made a time machine, and the teacher is actually the bad guy who in the beginning of the movie was working with Mordecai. So he's actually the bad guy, the teacher that they had in high school. and he basically tells them they need to go back in time to stop high school. Thing this is confusing to say. To tell high school Rigby and Mordecai not to make the time machine, to stop them completely. Don't make it. And basically, what the time machine does is it's going to make portals all around the world. It's going to suck up the world, and the Earth, not the world, yeah, the world, the Earth will never exist. Um, and yeah, and I guess future Rigby dies because he looks at Rigby and he tells him, "You need to tell Mordecai, no matter what happens in the future, you need to tell him what happened." And then future Rigby dies, I guess. Now he's just laying on a table with the sheet over him. But yeah, this is getting interesting. I like the plot that they're going with this. I like the delivery with it. I really really like it. Um, yeah, so far I'm enjoying the movie, but let's see if I enjoy it any further. Now we find out that the reason why they built the time machine in high school was because Rigby got accepted to a major college, but Mordecai didn't, so they wanted to make a time machine to try to get a scholarship to go to college. And it didn't turn out so well. They blew up, I think they blew up the science lab or something like that. And then the teacher lost his job. Mordecai and Rigby dropped out of college, and it all just went downhill from then. So now they're all teaming up and getting supplies. They're gonna get into the ship, the time machine ship, whatever you want to call it. I'm just gonna call it a ship, and they're gonna go back in time to try to save the universe, basically. Hey guys, so now they're in the past, not the present, the high school past. Where they have to go back in time. Um, I think it's funny. It's so funny how they all look when they're younger, and how everybody was working at the park before Mordecai and Rigby actually worked at it, and they just all look so funny. They all have like full heads of full full hair, and it's just so funny how they look. I just thought that was really funny, and I kind of already got the idea of who's the bad guy. Um, I don't want to say it because I could be wrong, but I already kind of got the idea who's the bad guy. It's kind of already, they kind of made it plainly obvious more than they did. But let's just say I don't think the bad guy that he said is actually the bad guy, if that makes sense. Probably does. But yeah, if I'm right, then they made it plainly obvious. But other than that, I'm really, really enjoying this movie. So I might be wrong on the whole bad guy thing. I think it is the teacher. Like they're making it clear that it is the teacher, but at the same time, I'm thinking it's somebody else. But I could see why it is the teacher because he makes it plainly obvious. He tells Rigby that he's like a science teacher and a volleyball coach, I guess. But he tells Rigby that he's going to fail science and he's gonna have to repeat the same grade, and that he's gonna give him another chance to come up with another science project. And then he goes, "Well, can you give me an idea?" The teacher shows them a time machine that he's working on, so he'll go back in time and fix something, get revenge on something. It's plenty obvious on what, but Rigby and Mordecai, they're Rigby and Mordecai, so they don't notice. But yeah, so let's go ahead and just see what happens. So while Benson, Pops, Mordecai, and Rigby are trying to save the universe and stop them from building the time machine, Skips, Muscle Man, and High Five Ghost are trying to fix the ship. Skips goes off to find something to help fix the ship, and he leaves Muscle Man to guard the ship, which doesn't go so well. More High Five Ghost and Muscle Man go use the restroom, and Muscle Man and High Five Ghost from the past find the ship. So now Mordecai and Rigby find their past selves, and they actually go and talk to them and tell them they're from the future and that they need to help Rigby with their science project. He tells them to build a volcano, that he did that. Which, if you did that in the past, wouldn't you tell him to do something else because you failed? It's so stupid. Oh, but that's Rigby. He's dumb. but they help them build a volcano, and then they tell them, go ahead and leave, we're gonna go ahead and go back to the future. And oh, they actually had a Back to the Future reference. I like that. Back to the Future is one of my favorite movies. um and past Mordecai and Rigby leave. Mordecai and Rigby from the present, it's kind of confusing. They destroyed the time machine that the teacher was working on. As Mordecai, Rigby, Benson, and Pops leave the science lab, in the window is the bad guy, the future teacher, bad guy person. He, Mr. Ross, that's his name. He is saying, you guys are successful. He's not saying this to them, but he's talking to himself, saying that they're successful and that soon the winning spike is going to something I forgot, and I just watched it. But basically, he has something else up his sleeve, and he goes into the portal and it disappears. So now present, Muscle Man and High Five Ghost notice that the ship's gone. Skips comes back, knows the ship's gone, and they look down, and it's a shirt that was from the past Muscle Man. They go looking for them, and it turns out that Muscle Man and High Five Ghost, the past, the young version. This is confusing as crap to say. But they are planning on dumping the ship in the crash pit. But Muscle Man, it's a funny fight scene between the two Muscle Mans, because he it's hard to explain, but you guys have to watch that fight. It is so funny. It wasn't even a fight; it was just like a funny scene. But they stopped them from dumping the ship into the crash pit, and now we get Mordecai. Now we get Mordecai and the rest of them teaming up with them, and they ask them if they saved the universe, and everybody starts celebrating because they think that or I guess they think that they stopped the universe from being destroyed. But Skip still has to fix the ship, and he asks for 20 minutes, and everybody goes off and does their own thing, I guess. Now Rigby notices that he didn't, he forgot to fix what makes him and Mordecai stop being friends, and then it cuts to past Rigby, where he was denied to go to the college U, and this is where I really hated his parents, because his parents were like, "Oh well, we expected that," and he passed them a college thing to, like, I don't know what it was, but it was stupid. I didn't like it. It made his parents look really really bad, and I didn't like that. I didn't like his parents. I think they should do that a little bit differently, but it is what it is, and I didn't like his parents. So Past Rigby gets this idea to write a letter acting like College U, and tells Mordecai that writes a letter saying that Mordecai's rejected too, when he wasn't. He was actually accepted to go. So Rigby's like, "Oh well, if you don't go to the College U, I'm not going." He rips it up, but Mordecai's like, "Let's go ahead and go back to the science lab, and let's build that time machine." And future Rigby, or present Rigby, comes back, and he's too late to tell Rigby not to do what he did to Mordecai. Mordecai sees future Ross, and future Mr. Ross. Future Mr. Ross says that he didn't stop anything, and that the reason why he is trying to mess with Rigby is because he messed up the volleyball game back in high school. He messed up them winning the volleyball game, and he goes, whenever they messed up the science lab, they made their time NATO. So now the future Mr. Ross still wants to let them go through with that, so that they can make the time NATO, so he can in the future get his hands on it and mess up the world, basically. So now everybody knows that there is a second time machine, and everybody goes to the high school to try to stop Mordecai and Rigby from building the second time machine. But as they're running towards it, they run into future Mordecai and future Mr. Ross, which are the bad guys, and they have this big fight scene. And they wasted time, and the time NATO was made, and it disappears. And I think it was funny because President Benson is yelling at past Mordecai and Rigby, and they don't even know who he is. He's like, "I'm sorry, sir." Like they don't know who Benson is at that time. So I think that's really really funny. Future Mr. Ross tells all of the Mordecais that Rigby actually lied to him and that he basically messed up his future. Um, and he made him read the letter, the rejection letter that Rigby got. And that kind of made me sad, to be honest with you. The way he was reading it and the music, it kind of made me sad. It broke my heart. But yeah, that was like a really, really sad moment. It kind of made you like feel bad for Rigby and Mordecai. But future after that, Future Ross tries to kill present Mordecai, but future Mordecai jumps in the way and takes the shot from Mr. Ross so that present Mordecai would still be alive, and Mr. Ross disappears because the Time Needle is already out there, and he thinks he won already. Present Mordecai yells at present Rigby and tells him how he messed up his life and that he's not his friend because he was holding him back, and that they're not friends no more. Basically, they're not friends no more. And Rigby runs away, skips his van, and it takes off. Mordecai helps future Mordecai outside, but future Mordecai, before he dies, he tells Mordecai that the life that he had, where you know he was rich and stuff, it wasn't what he wanted because he didn't have friends or family, and that he wasted his time trying to get all that. And he goes, "I'd rather be playing, chilling, playing games with my bro than actually having that kind of job." So he goes, "The future is in your hands," and so basically, present Mordecai has to decide his future, what he wants, and then Rigby takes the time machine back to, well, he takes a time machine and runs off and leaves everybody there in the past, which is dumb. I don't see why they had to do that. Made Rigby kind of seem like a jerk because he left everybody behind and took off. And the ship took him to this gas station to refill in space, I guess. I don't know what to call it. So everybody's stranded there. Rigby went to the gas station and he kind of knocked himself out. So Mordecai shows up with present Mordecai shows up with future Mordecai's ship. Everybody besides Rigby has to go and try to save the universe, basically, because the Time NATO is sucking up all of the time. So they need to go and try to beat, I guess, Mr. Ross and try to stop the Time NATO. So while everybody is fighting Mr. Ross, Father Time saves Rigby and basically tells him to go say sorry to Mordecai and make sure to have no regrets, and fix your ties and blah 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 blah. So Rigby has to fly and basically save Mordecai and the rest of them and say sorry for what he did. Okay, so the movie is over. Basically ended with a big fight scene where they had to destroy the tornado and take out future Mr. Ross. They took him out. I'm sorry for spoilers, but this whole thing is spoilers. But they took him out, and the way it all fit together was that past Rigby told past Mr. Ross that he was sorry, and that kind of changed him. He was like, "Okay, I forgive you." Good, because I was gonna plan this whole revenge thing, and he goes, "We could be best friends. Let's go get burgers." And then the principal, I guess it was the principal, he's like, "What are you talking about? You're going to jail," because he was building this time machine and it blew up the science lab and all this stuff. So basically, happy ending. Rigby told Mordecai he was sorry, and they're still friends. Cuts to the present day. Nothing's changed. They're still always late, but they kept the time machine, which is pretty funny. Now, for my overall thoughts on it, I actually really enjoyed this movie. I didn't think I was going to enjoy it as much, but I actually really, really enjoyed it. It makes me want to go back and catch up on the episodes that I haven't seen of regular show, because I haven't really been watching or keeping up with any cartoon. But after seeing this movie, I kind of want to go back and watch some regular show episodes. So I think that's what I'm going to do. But I thought it was a good movie. I thought the plot was good. I thought it was a unique take on the whole time travel genre in movies and TV. So I actually enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. The only thing that I thought was confusing was the Mr. Ross wanted to take out Rigby for what he did for causing him the law to lose the volleyball game, but he still went ahead and went through destroying the Earth and the time with it. That was kind of like, why would you need to destroy time if you already destroyed Rigby and Mordecai's friendship, you know? But yeah, I thought it was good. Definitely recommend Regular Show the movie. I actually really enjoyed it. Enjoyed it more than what I thought. But yeah, you know, it has all the same characters from Regular Show. The plot was good. I actually enjoyed the plot. Um, yeah, and it got sad sometimes because of the friendship between Mordecai and Rigby was at stake. And yeah, so my overall opinion on this was good. It's pretty good for a TV movie. It was kind of short, but you know, it's a TV movie. But other than that, it was really, really good. I really, really enjoyed it. I think that if you're a fan of Regular Show, you're gonna like this. If you're not a fan of Regular Show, you're not gonna like this because it has Regular Show characters in it. But I say give it a watch. Definitely give it a watch. I'm pretty sure this is a late review. This came out months ago, so I'm pretty sure all of you guys have watched it. But if you guys haven't, definitely check it out if you guys are a fan of Regular Show. So I thought it was good. I thought it was well done. They did a good job with this. I haven't seen any episodes past this, well, before this and after this movie, but I don't know if this movie changed the show. Like, in the show, do they still have the space? Do they still have the time machine? You know, in the show, is Rigby more, you know, caring towards Mordecai and Rigby's friendship? You know, does this movie take what it did in this movie? Do they apply it to the show? Because in SpongeBob the movie, it didn't affect what happened in the show. So I wonder if this affects what happens in the show. Let me know if you guys know if the movie affected the show in any way. But I haven't seen any recent episodes of Regular Show to say if it did. But let me know in the comments if you guys know if this show changes the. I mean, this movie changes the show. I'm really, really curious on that. But yeah, guys, so that is it. Hope you guys enjoyed this movie night. Suggest what movies you would like me to do a movie night on down in the comments below. If you guys don't know what movies like these, like DVDs I have of cartoon shows that were turned into movies. If you guys don't know, just go through my collection video and you guys see what movies I have like this, and just suggest them or suggest ones I don't have. I'm pretty sure there's a lot out there. But I hope you guys enjoyed. For all your collection hunting news and reviews on Toonz, click the subscribe button. Don't forget, keep watching your cartoons. I'll see all you animation geeks later. Peace.